All right. يلا بسم الله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم أما بعد. All right. We might still have a couple guys joining, but we'll get started inshallah, so we don't keep you guys waiting too long. All right. As a quick recap from the last dars, or the last couple durus, we've been discussing the quote unquote disagreement, if you would, between Sayyidina Fatimah alayhi salam and Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, which, as just quick recap, and then we're going to finish off that subject today so we can move on to something else. But basically, as you may remember, some of the ahadith that were mentioned, which, again, as a quick reminder, are in Sahih Bukhari and in Muslim, we saw were completely inaccurate. And that they were what we call the ziyadat. In hadith, we call it was hadith mudraj, which has ziyadat, which has extras that were added from the rawi, and the rawi in that case was Imam al-Zuhri rahmatullah alayh. And like we said, Imam al-Zuhri specifically rahmatullah alayh, and again, guys, I want you to remember that when we speak of a specific rawi or a specific person, okay, having narrated a hadith and made some sort of absurd claim, that doesn't mean that we're attacking that person. Okay, we're attacking that claim, we're denying that claim and saying that this is absolutely untrue, and we have proof to prove it, as we discuss, and we'll go over them. And it also doesn't take away from aspects of that individual's ilm. Okay, so for example, Imam al-Zuhri rahmatullah alayh, anything with regards to fiqh, ala rasi, no problem. Okay, but when it comes to ahadith, the muhaddithin and the imams of what we call jarh and ta'dil. I don't know if you guys remember those terms. Jarh and ta'dil are the terms which are used from the imams of hadith with regards to every single rawi, and essentially, what's their case? What's this individual's case? Is this person a liar? Is this person spice up a hadith? Does he, etc., etc.? So the Imam of Jarh and Ta'dil know that, for example, something in this case, for example, Imam al-Zuhri rahmatullah alayh, if it's with regards to fiqh, no problem. Jurisprudence, ibadat, no problem. But when it comes to ahadith, there are ahadith that shouldn't be taken from Imam al-Zuhri rahmatullah alayh, which are not related to fiqh. Because like we said, there was that long hadith that we looked at. Remember, it was all completely underlined. We underlined everything, which was showing the additions from Imam al-Zuhri with regards to that hadith, which made a massive fire, which, like we said last time, which the Shi'as use against us, right? And rightfully so, because they're like, guys, what are you saying? This is in your books. This is in your Sunni books. What are you going to say to them? You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's these ahadith that they keep coming up. And the problem is, like I said, they're in our books, so you can't deny them. And then you can't go back and say, oh, these are from your books, or you're just making this stuff up. No, these are actually from our books, whether we like it or not. Okay? And like I said, that was one of them in Sahih al-Bukhari. Now, like we said, the first part of that hadith is Sahih, but then he added all those extra spices. And again, I'll quickly go over them, where he was saying about how Sayyidina Fatimah alayhi salam was so upset. And again, we're talking about the inheritance of the Prophet alayhi salam, quote unquote, okay? Inheritance of the Prophet alayhi salam that he left behind. And she went to go ask Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu about it. And it was mainly regarding the ard of Fadak, okay? The land of Fadak. And then Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, obviously he was the Khalifa at the time. He said that the Prophet ﷺ told us that, that he did not leave anything behind to inherit except that it was sadaqah, and that al-bayt can take from this but then the rest of it is also meant for the fuqara, the needy of the ummah, of the community, etc., etc. So according to him, according to Imam Zuhri, again, she got really upset, and that she never spoke to him again. And then because of that, when she passed away, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu didn't come and pray on her, and Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam was the only one who prayed on Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam, and all this craziness. And then finally, after she passed away, if you guys remember the hadith, after she finally passed away, if you guys remember, was 6 months after the passing of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. After that, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, okay, you know what? I'll meet with Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu alone, but because I don't want him bringing Umar, trying to insinuate that there's some sort of issue between Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu alayhi salam and Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. And then after that, he finally gave bay'ah, pledge of allegiance and accepting the leadership of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And all these things were in that one hadith from Imam al-Zuhri. Okay, which started this whole fitna. And imagine somebody who has extreme love for Ahl al-Bayt and support for Ahl al-Bayt, and they see this hadith and like, oh wait, what? Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he had beef between him and Sayyidina Umar, and Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam wasn't talking to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. What do you expect him to do with it? This is in our books, in Sahih al-Bukhari and in Sahih Muslim. Okay. Now, that was one issue. And then there was the whole thing about whether she spoke to him, alayhi salam, until she passed or not. And we discussed in the last dars that was in fact untrue. Now, we're going to finish up this topic today, inshallah. But just to finish up that same subject and that same topic, other narrations with regards to this whole same story, just to show you the mess, let's put it that way, okay? That is in, again, our books. And if you remember, this whole supposed feud and beef between Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam and Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, we refuted that not just with our Sunni sources, but with Shia sources as well. If you guys remember that, from the most authentic Shia sources and other sources as well, okay, along with our Sunni sources, okay, so we put that aside now. Again, very similar situation here, same story, okay. Now in this case, again, just for the sake of time, I'm going to try to avoid reading too much of the Arabic and just kind of translate on the fly and give a summary of the ahadith. And if anybody wants the, obviously the specific source and everything, let me know, and obviously I'll give it to you on the spot, inshallah. So now in this case, you have a hadith narrated from An Zayd ibn Aslam, okay, An Abihi Aslam. This is now with reference to the bay'ah, pledge of allegiance, or accepting the leadership of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, but in a different version, okay? So here, again, I'm just going to summarize just for the sake of time, because I know time flies in these half-an-hour durus. So basically, Zayd ibn Aslam, from his father, narrates this hadith. Okay? Now, what he says is basically that at one point in time, there was Sayyidina Zubair radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam, that they used to consult Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam, take her opinion on a lot of matters, regarding the community, and they used to take her opinion and etc. And then he goes on to say that at one point, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu walks in on Fatima alayhi salam, Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam. So he says, when Umar radiallahu anhu found out that Sayyidina Zubair and Sayyidina Imam Ali alayhi salam radiallahu anhu, when Umar radiallahu anhu found out that they were consulting Fatima alayhi salam, there's this picture that is painted here that he got upset. And he says, in Arabic it says, فلما بلغ ذلك عمر بن الخطاب خرج حتى دخل على فاطمة. When he heard this information, he left and until he basically walks in on Fatima. So it's kind of showing this picture that he's just like, very imposing and just, angrily walks in. And he says, supposedly to Sitta Fatima alayhi salam, he says, "O daughter of Rasoul Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, wallahi, there is nothing more beloved to me than your father and you." And then he says, "However, I swear by Allah." Essentially, he's saying that it would not stop me from burning this house down on all of you. Ya salam. Because of what? Because of him hearing that Zubair radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam were consulting her, okay, in important matters. So he's like, despite my love for the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, oh, I love the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, it's the most beloved thing to me, and you are, most beloved thing after, after the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. But despite all of that, for what? Tatbiq al-Sharia. Why? Because to implement the Sharia. You know how a lot of these people talk today, oh, I want to, we need to apply the Sharia. Despite all of that, because to please Allah, I will burn this house down. The house of who? Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam and Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam. Hello. What is going on here? All right. And then, when he left, so he comes in basically all angry, threatens Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam. Okay. That's essentially what he's doing. When he left, Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam told Sayyidina Zubair and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhuma, listen, this is what Umar just said, radiallahu anhu. Please, guys, leave, because if you come back, he's going to come here and he's going to burn down the house. So then what happened? Out of their fear, according to this hadith, okay? They left out of their fear, and then he says what? حَتَّى بَايَعُوا لِأَبُو بَكْر. They left right away, and they said, okay, khalas, we now accept the khilafah and the leadership of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Ya salam. This hadith was from Imam Ibn Abi Shayba, rahmatullah alayh. The issue here, there's a lot of things actually. I was about to say a couple of things. There's a lot of things. Number one, before I move on to the actual narration, forget about the whole drama of what just happened between supposedly Umar radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam. The end of the hadith. And then because of this, they went to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and they accepted his khilafah and his leadership. Okay. Weren't you just telling us that the narration from Imam al-Zuhri and Sahih al-Bukhari said that Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam only gave bay'ah and accepted the leadership of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu after the passing of Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam, which was 6 months after the passing of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam? So one narration, Sahih Bukhari, which we debunked already, okay, says he pledged his bay'ah to Abu Bakr. Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam pledged and accepted the bay'ah and khilafah of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu after Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam passed away, which was 6 months after the passing of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. So now she's gone, he goes and he makes bay'ah. Here, while she's alive, clearly, right after this conversation, they're like, oh, we got to go give our bay'ah now. So which one is it? That's number one. Number two, the rawi. This is what we call a hadith mursal. A hadith which is mursal, which could be sahih, by the way. A hadith which is mursal could be sahih. It could be authentic and it could be accurate. But when you have something like this and you have a hadith which is mursal, it should raise a red flag. And what this hadith, a hadith which is mursal is a hadith which skips the sahabi. Okay, so it's just a I'm sorry, it's a sahabi narrating hadith, so not something that they heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is Zayd ibn Aslam narrating the hadith, not him saying, I heard this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc., etc. It's the Sahabi. Now, however, the other issue with this is that Zayd ibn Aslam was not even around at this time. He was not present at all. If you go back in the history and you see when did he come about, he became, so Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu had taken him as one of his servants. Okay, way back when, and he was not even around at this time, at this discussion, at this whole scenario. Okay, his what do you want to call it? His story is in a completely different time zone. A completely different time. He was not present at this time in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so the timing of him to supposedly say that this story happened, he wasn't even present, not even close to the time of this supposed interaction. And then you have another narration, which was from Imam Ahmad, rahmatullah alayh. Yes, from Imam Ahmad, rahmatullah alayh. And in this one also from Zayd ibn Aslam. So both of the two narrations are from the same supposedly the same individual. Okay. Essentially the same tabi'i. Okay, so not someone who even saw the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We're talking about way later. Also, that hadith is related from his father. قال لما بويع لأبو بكر رضي الله عنه بعد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان علي والزبير ابن العوام يدخلان. Same story. So same story as we said earlier about Sayyidina Zubair ibn al-Awwam radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhuma, that they used to take the opinion of Sitta Fatima alayhi salam, and then when Umar radiallahu anhu heard about this, he came and said the same story, etc. And then the only difference in this hadith is أحب إلي منك وكلا فدخل علي والزبير على فاطمة فقال انصرفا راشدين فلما رجع إليها حتى بايعا. So that whole part about I will burn down this house, etc., and all of that doesn't exist in this hadith from Imam Ahmad rahmatullah alayh. But even then, in this case, here it says that at the end of this supposed interaction, they went and gave their bay'ah to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. All right, now we get into another one. عن مسلمة ابن محارب عن سليمان التيمي وعن ابن عون أن أبا بكر رضي الله عنه أرسل إلى علي يريد البيع فلم يبايع فجاءه عمر ومعه فتيلة. Now, according to this supposed, again, hadith, that when Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu supposedly, again, wanted the bay'ah from Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he sent Umar radiallahu anhu wa ma'ahu fatila. And what that means, essentially, I don't want to use this term with regards to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, but I'm saying in accordance to this story, the way it's painted and the way it's made to seem, he's basically sending his, I don't want to use the term goons because a'udhu billah to refer to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum like that, but the way the story is painted, that's what it's making it seem. Okay? He basically sent like an army of guys to go to Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu to make sure that he pledges his bay'ah. And in this riwayah, listen to this. فتلقتهم فاطمة على الباب. So now, as supposedly Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu who's coming in with his guys, with his men, Sayyidina Fatima radiallahu anha wa alayha salam essentially basically meets him at the door, or kind of like bumps into him at the door. And then Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam supposedly says to him, Ya ibn al-Khattab, she basically, like, I see you're upset at the door, like, what's going on? And then he says, وَذَلِكَ أَقْوَى فِيهَا فِيمَا جَاءَ بِهِ أَبُوكِ صلى الله عليه وسلم وجاء علي فبايع وقال كنت عزمت ألا أخرج من منزلي حتى أجمع القرآن. So here again, it's painting this picture that forcefully, okay, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu alayhi salam was forcefully made to accept the leadership of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Again, this one here, again, in our books, okay? However, this is a hadith mursal makdhoob. It's completely made up and it's lied. And we'll look at here why. The reason here is you have two rawis. So you have the first one, Sulaiman, the first one, like we said, Sulaiman al-Taymi, okay? And then you have Abdullah ibn Aun. Same situation like that previous hadith. These two supposedly, who are narrators of this hadith, were not around whatsoever. They passed away, the first one in 143. Bro, which book is this hadith in? The one that's made up. Which are you referring to? The one that I'm reading right now, the one before. The one was from Ibn Abi Shayba. This one was from it's called Asbab al-Ashraf. This one is Asbab al-Ashraf. Again, in our books. In any case. So the first Rawi passed away in 143 Ba'd al-Hijrah, after the Hijrah. The other one 150. Where? How are they supposedly narrating the supposed story? Number one. Another one. And the next one we're going to dissect quickly. Let me see how much time we have left. Wallah, time flies, man. This one isn't. But to answer your question, Ali, no, this one is not in the major books. But the other one from Imam al-Zuhri, rahmatullah alayh, is in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. The other one was in Kutub Ibn Abi Shayba. Massive Imam, rahmatullah alayh. In any case, now the next one here. عن عبد الرحمن ابن عوف قال دخلت على أبي بكر رضي الله عنه فسلمت عليه فسألته كيف أصبحت. I'm trying to keep it concise. Okay, so basically, now this Sahabi asks Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu just for some advice, okay? Basically, what are some things that you regret? What are some things that you're happy about, etc.? And said Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu essentially says there's 3 of this one, 3 of that one, 3 of this one. That's not the point of the story right now. The point of it is where he says one of the things that he regrets. He says, supposedly, according to this, which is just to support that other story, of course, because the more ahadith that you have, it's trying to support a story to give it more authenticity. Were these narrated during the fitna? So no, they were not narrated during the fitna. This is why the fitna happened in the first place. After. This was after the fitnas happened. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other questions. 1 second. I'm just going to open up this here. So this was after it, and this is what poured the oil on the fire. Listen to this one. So now, again, like we said, the whole details of this hadith are not important. The important part is this part here, where Sayyidina, supposedly Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu says, one thing that I do regret, okay? Man, it's, anyways, I'll give you why I'm laughing in a second. One of the things I do regret is the fact that, I basically had Umar radiallahu anhu, threaten them about burning down their home, etc., and this whole thing, okay? He's like, I regret that. Why I'm laughing is because, again, like the games that are played, because if you remember the first long hadith, let me just show you guys quickly as I'm talking about it. The one from Imam al-Zuhri, rahmatullah alayhi, which we showed all the additions which were underlined. Remember, everything that's underlined is from the additions of al-Zuhri on both pages. Everything underlined was the words of al-Zuhri and had nothing to do with the hadith, which was all the spices on top of the hadith, which the oil on the fire. Where, again, in that situation and in other hadith which we saw, and in this case, they're always painting this picture, oh, miskeen, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he felt bad, he didn't want to do this, but, they had no choice. Again, just crazy mess, okay? Now, this hadith. We have the Rawi, Ulwan ibn Dawood al-Bajali, okay? We're going to look at the opinions of the ulama with regards to this Rawi. And this is what we call Jarh and Ta'dil. There are literally books which are called books of Jarh and Ta'dil, where you look up a specific individual by name, and you look at all the opinions of the ulama about this individual, about this Rawi. So in this case, let's start with Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi. He mentions his name, Alwan ibn Dawood, wa yuqal ibn Salih, munkar al-hadith. Ya salam. He says his hadith are no good. وقال العقيلي له حديث لا يتابع عليه ولا يعرف إلا به. He has a hadith that don't even look at them. وقال أبو سعيد ابن يونس رحمة الله عليه منكر الحديث. Also, his hadith are no good. So you look at some of these ulama, and I just realized that we didn't even get to the Shia sources. Holy, okay. We got a couple minutes, guys. Give me a few more minutes of your time. In any case, so you see the opinions of our ulama about this Rawi, but what the hadith are still in our books. Like, ya ammi, why? We have these ahadith in our books with rawis that we see the opinions of the ulama with regards to them. Why do we narrate these ahadith? I don't get it. Moving on. And then you also have, was this that hadith or another one? 1 second here. Okay, and then you have the story or supposed story. And I'm going to try to summarize this as quick as I can, again, for the sake of time. I know we're running out. In this story, you have narrations where, so for example, in which one? This last one that we just mentioned about Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, saying that he regretted this whole situation with Fatima, etc. This was narrated where, just to answer one of your questions, Ali, this is another one. At-Tabrani fil Kabir. And then you also have Al-Uqayli fil Du'afa, and then you have Ibn Asakir, etc., etc. So you have people narrating these ahadith for some strange reason. And some of them did mention that they are in the books of Da'if. Yeah, big book, Tabrani. Yeah, 100%. Tabrani is a big book, man. And in any case, there are a whole bunch of other ones here, okay? And this hadith also, the narrators kept flipping. So there's like the 2 or 3 main rawat or narrators of the hadith, and every version came in a different order. So you have, let's just for the sake of time and just easiness, we'll just put 1, 2, and 3, okay, as opposed to filling out the names, okay? So you have Rawi 1, 2, and 3, and then in one version it came in order 1, 2, and 3, and then another version it came 3, 1, 2, and then it came 2, 1, 3, and it's just okay. So who heard the hadith from who? Yallah. So it's not one thing. There's a whole, bunch of different issues with these ahadith that we keep finding, and then we keep taking these ahadith, and all these ahadith do is make fitna in this specific case. Now, in another case here, with regards to ahadith, with reference to, again, because we're running out of time, supposedly in this one of the narrations, when Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu came and he saw Fatima alayhi salam at the door, and he basically broke down the door and all of that. And apparently that was when she was pregnant with Muhsin alayhi salam, okay, their last son, which, like we mentioned in the past, unfortunately Sunni scholars don't give too much attention to. But she, in fact, as we proved last time, had a son named Muhsin who passed away during the life of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. So he was very young, passed away during the life of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. And if you remember, the Prophet alayhi salatu salam himself named him, okay? In any case, so apparently this story is the one where Umar radiallahu anhu comes in and he bursts down the door, and because of that, it hit her stomach and she lost her child. So essentially, he killed her child. Shias milk that. Again, not all Shias, we're talking about the Rawafid specifically. They milk these stories and they say, what? They're in your books. This is why many, just reading your thing, this is why many Shias are named Muhsin. But yes, 100%. 100%. Because Sunni scholars, unfortunately, they bring like little to zero mention of Muhsin alayhi salam. But as we proved last time, he in fact did live, and the Prophet alayhi salam named him himself. So in any case, these narrations are in the book of supposedly Sulaym ibn Qais al-Hilali. Yallah, go look up Sulaym ibn Qais al-Hilali. Doesn't exist according to Sunnis and according to Shias. Now we're going to quickly go over the Shia references, and we're going to end this topic today, inshallah. We're going to move on to something else, inshallah. So you have here in Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad ibn Madhar al-Hulli. So this is a Shia Imam, okay? In his Kitab al-Rijal, okay, on page 206. And basically they say that this individual who's narrating this hadith, he is saying da'if jiddan. He's extremely weak. This is a Shia source. And why I'm bringing Shia sources is to show that this whole feud between Sunnis and Shias, it's really not needed. Number one, it's coming from sources or references, I should say, which are completely unauthentic in our books. And you even have Shia Imams who say that they are unauthentic, like we saw with the other references, and same thing with this one. And then you have another one. وجاء في كتاب محمد ibn Ali. He says in the book Jama' al-Ruwat, a Shia Imam as well. He says the same thing about this this narrator. He says tabi'i da'if. He says he's da'if. And then you have another one, again, another Shia source. Al-Mamaqani, okay, rahmatullah alayhi. In his book he says, and his book is called Tanqih al-Maqal, okay. He says about this individual, again, I'm just trying to keep it concise. He says lam yudhkaru bi khair. He says there is no mention of him in any good. And he says all his books and his hadith with regards to this book or this individual Sulaym ibn Qais al-Hilali, he says mawdu' qat'an, they're completely made up. I'm just looking at your comment. Exactly, it's very obvious when you hear it, 100%. But unfortunately, people don't want to see that. And then you have here a Sheikh al-Mufid in his book, another Shia Imam. It's called Tasheeh I'tiqadat al-Imamiyya. Very Shia book, Shia name. He says about this book, about Sulaim ibn Qais al-Hilali, he says, I'm just trying to take the most important part here because it's quite a bit of text. Exactly the same thing. He says that nobody knows anything about this individual, and apparently, like everything that are in the in this book and in these books is completely mawdu' and made up. So again, look, guys, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong, and this is a problem. And this is for some reason we've been programmed this way that we're not allowed to question a hadith. We're not allowed to question scholars. There's nothing wrong with questioning. When you question someone, it is not disrespectful. It is not disrespectful. Did not the Sahaba radiallahu anhum question the Prophet alayhi salatu salam? And even sometimes question Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about how sometimes prophets and their people questioned Allah and asked, why is Allah, where is the help of Allah, etc., etc. It's not disrespectful, okay? Depending on how you do it. Okay? Very good point as well. Angels questioned Allah when he said that he's going to create the mankind and send them to earth. 100%. Very good point. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is we've been made to believe that, if you question all these ulama, it's disrespectful. Like, who are you? Right? Who are you to question? It's not about questioning these ulama. Nobody's making these stories. We're taking opinions of other ulama which are not as streamlined, which prove that this is not correct. Plus a whole bunch of other factors. So the point is, again, when you hear stories like this, when these stories are shared, be it from the Shias or be it from the Sunnis, anything with regards to this whole one-sidedness on either side, guys, stay away from it. Stay away from it because we see the games that are being played. And all it does is make fitna. Because at the end of the day, to summarize this whole supposed issue, again, I'm going to finish it off in one quick ending and we'll end it off, inshallah. Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam questioned Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He answered her by saying, I heard the Prophet alayhi salam saying X, which we went over the hadith, which said that the Prophet alayhi salam said that he did not leave any inheritance for anybody to inherit except that which would be given in sadaqah for al-bayt and the needy. And then what did she say? Anta wa ma sami'ta min Rasoul Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Done deal. The story was over. Yes, did it, bother her a little bit? 100%. Was she upset at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and hold this grudge and all of? None of that. And we saw that in all the ahadith. So this whole charade and this whole movie, as you can see, this whole fitna that happened, which Shias use to pour oil on the fire to show this supposed feud and create more separation and everything. They're taking it from our books, man. From our own books. So you can't blame them at the end of the day, to a certain extent, of course. Because yes, they do have a lot of ulama which refuted all these claims as well. All right. Next week, inshallah, we're going to get into when Sayyidina Fatima alayhi salam ended up getting sick and how she passed away, or next dars, I should say. Whether that's next week or not, we'll see. But in any case, Jazakumullah khair, and sorry I took so much time. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.